Hello and welcome. Today is the 17th of October 2017. It is a Tuesday. My name is Derek. Let's talk about the Bitcoin chart, but mainly portfolio management. Some comments from earlier. Santosh Gowda, I most likely pronounced that wrong. Is it okay to buy Bitcoin now or shall I wait? I know it's all my risk and reward. As far as waiting, the answer sometimes can be both. And the mathematics on the weighting is you're either going to be right or you're going to be wrong. And if you're right, you buy prices at cheaper amount, which means you get more Bitcoin or it costs you less. And of course, by buying now, then you're guaranteed to have them in any price fluctuations that happen to occur to the downside. Well, those are cheaper prices you could have got that you couldn't get. And the reason for both is you buy some now, you place some buy orders in, or look to buy later when the price goes lower. Heck of a guy with a comment. This is why I sold precious metals and bought both Bitcoin and Litecoin. And if you look at it now, if whatever you sold within silver, gold, to buy the cryptocurrencies, and let's just say you've done this a significant period ago where you've seen Bitcoin and Litecoin prices appreciate against the dollar, and maybe you've been even trading to appreciate the amount of cryptos you have in Bitcoin and or Litecoin, Ethereum, whatever it may be. And next thing you know, okay, I sold, say, X amount of silver units for Y amount of dollars. Well, Y is a lot higher now. And if I buy X amount of silver, which is another way of saying the exact same amount that you sold, you could technically now only get rid of, depending on how well you've done, a small percentage of what you have gained. So, I mean, that's part of the risk reward. And I thought way back when, and this is when I started trading, that, okay, here we stand, price action at 1,000. I felt very confident that the price was going to go much higher. And I seriously thought about buying a lot more or starting with a lot more than I did. I even had one person offer to fund me a significant amount and give me a very reasonable cut. And I wasn't able to do such, but I also wanted to do what I've always wanted to do in my life. And that was turn a very small amount, but something you need that's workable, and turn it into a very good amount. And so far, that has been a success, as now from the point of going from here to here when I was heavily invested in silver, have added to my silver portfolio well over 10-20%. And yet you work it out, because if you get some extensive gains, that means you can turn little into more, which means now cryptocurrencies become my number one portfolio. And one of the things that I've been thinking all morning is, do I make a small silver buy right now? Turn about 1.2, 1.3% of my portfolio into physical silver. I mean, that's a very low percentage. That's been the plan the whole way through, and I'm glad it has been, because I've bought several times. And you know what? I could have just not bought and bought it right now and got a lot more. And I knew that. And I know that right now buying, okay, yeah, let's buy 5,500 or even 6,400. Yeah, we're going into or the ratio that I talk about, I've stated, yeah, it's probably going to go a lot higher. So if you really want to take a calculated chance, why am I even buying it at all? However, the reason why every so often I'm buying it is because, you know what, just in case, tail risk, I know it's probably not, but it's like a level of hedge that I'm deciding, okay, let's just buy a little bit. And I don't want to buy any right now, even though the value of my silver portfolio is now significantly lower than my crypto portfolio. And I also think, as an investor of anything that you have a good portion of, you have to ask yourself, are you wanting to hold or sell? Because if you are one to see significant gains to come in the future, then all you want to sell are microscopic small amounts. And maybe I'm a little tight with how small I take out, but so far in this run higher, I'm glad it has been. But in that situation, Just imagine you had no silver, no gold, no cryptos, no investment grade real estate, all basic investments, no stocks, and you have it all in cash and you can just invest it now. Where would you put it? Would you have it the exact same way or in the area of how it is now? Because as a trader, if the answer is no, I got way too little or much of this, then you would do what you have to do. And that's why I'm not yet buying a little bit more silver, and I'm going to buy a small percentage when the price does go higher because I'm confident that it will. I realize that there can be short-term price fluctuations down. But if you look at it in variables like, okay, I want to sell in here, even though I know there can be fluctuations down in here. Okay, so you buy silver here or buy whatever else that you can wait to buy later. Then you see, oh, wow, it goes down. I got a good deal at that time. And even in here, not so bad. And, well, you could have held it and you could have got more. And that's another way of looking at even markets when you talk about buying at highs. If you buy here, you're like, you know what? I know it's at a high price, but I realize if it does anything like this, it's probably going to do something like that afterwards. You want to make sure you're confident within your fundamentals for that. But that's one way of looking at it, making it when you're in a secular bull market. Just whenever you want to buy, it's usually good. But with the way that everything is in place within what I call the game as I've started it, my actual Bitcoin balance, as far as the amount of Bitcoins I own and Bitcoin in value within the alts, is currently about 13 times higher than where it started back in here. And when you're doing 1.2% a day, you get serious gains when you can get larger sample size of days. And in this case, we're now looking at around a couple hundred almost now. And that doesn't include, of course, the silver that has been purchased, and even literally just buying things, just turning a little bit of it, just profit taking every now and again, every so often. And I have been more tight than my plan was along the way. What was the plan? The plan was to take out no more than 5% of your portfolio to, well, in this case, you buy cash, silver, gold. I haven't bought any gold, not in this time frame anyway, or just different online things. Buy off of Amazon, buy off of just buy other different type of gift cards you can buy in town, and well, do 5%. But when you do so, if your portfolio is worth, say, 1 unit, that means the next time you do it, you want to make sure your portfolio is a little bit higher than it was. So if you go 1 unit and you take it 5%, you would fall to 0.95. So time goes through, you do some trading. Next thing you know, you're worth, say, 1.5. Well, you're higher. So the next key that I've been using is following withdrawals. Your bankroll has to be higher. And if you take out 5% at 1.5, well, that would work out to, 10% is 0.15, so 0.075. And that would bring you down to like 1.42 or so. But like I stated, 1.1, 1.3% I've been thinking about on silver, and then we'll do another 1.3% on other miscellaneous items. I have been crushing to the downside every time I've withdrew something on this 5% number. I buy a bit of silver here, that's 3.2% of my bankroll at whatever time frame. Okay, so I buy some gift cards to buy some different products in town. There goes another 2.1% of my bankroll. I have been playing much lower because I'm a high believer that these markets will go higher. The reason why I'm doing this, at least for the silver's sake, is because not only do I like it in a long position, but just in case something happens, then at least I know I'm getting something out of it and more each time. And I look back at what I should have done. I don't know how rich I would be today had I done what I knew I should have done, and I'm going to explain that now. And this is the Bitcoin chart at the end of 2011 going into 2012 on the Mt. Gox exchange. And I knew about Bitcoin at this point, and I was dashing it or dissing it, not giving it a good name back then, calling it very much a large Ponzi scheme. However, at the time, I was thinking, should have done it. Thought it like a poker game, poker tournament. Because if you would have asked me sometime in late 2011, any time in 2011, and any time in 2012, hey, there's a good poker game, got this one, blah, 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 place. Pretty cool. It's, say, $200 buy-in. And it should be lots of fun. Good payouts. This is the structure. And I'm like, if it's a good term, I'd be like, yeah, I'm in. Count me in. I'll buy in. Yet if I would have used that same mindset with this, $200, even $50, $100, that would have worked well too. And you go on there and you do something I've been trying to do at this point for quite some time, because at this stage, I had not made a market trade of any sort in almost 2 years. That's how long it was since I made any type of buy or sell on any kind of exchange. And the reasons why I wasn't, well, the banking system and the stock market system, total detractor. But I enjoy trying to outperform the market. And I think that I probably would have done well within this. But you know what? I do not own a DeLorean, nor do I have any knowledge of how to do so. What I have tried to do is try to get my computer to work in time travel so that I can use a web browser, maybe go into a sports page, maybe log into, say, October 24th, 2017 and look what the box scores of the games were, and then maybe in a week or so make a few bets. But I haven't been able to make that happen yet either. So then when it all comes down to it, as a trader, if I wanted to gamble on the short term, and I'm just now switching topics from the main portfolio now to this hourly time frame on Bitcoin, I see a by the book pattern developing. Now granted, this was a beautiful spot to go long before this red candle down. So short term, that didn't work out. Long term, well, as I stated, if you think it's just going to go to 10, 15, 20,000, and I personally do, then does it really matter what price you buy at? And I shouldn't really care about price fluctuations unless maybe I want to make a gamble, a bet. I'm going to have to be handicapping hockey pretty soon. Big, large card today. Pretty excited about that. But that's later for this afternoon's work. This resistance, or this support, has now resisted. I am seeing it doing so within the 18 average of lows, which was obviously rising in here, has started to decline. We first declined the 18 average of highs, wave lower. Is it, question mark, declining the 18 average of highs? Generally, when I'm looking at patterns like this, and I see price action rolling over, you're watching the water drop. I don't know how you want to phrase it at, but in here, small cautionary moves, medium cautionary moves falling clear below this support, and much larger cautionary moves falling below what would be this support. But we're also in a situation in here. You look at that's the bearish side of it. When these things are ready to go, I mean, they're just going to go, of course, but how do we stand within this, what could be a much larger sideways correction on the middle part of it, maybe barely on the lower part, middle being somewhere here. So there's definite rooms for this range to come in. And if you ever distinguish a range, and the earliest you can do it, how you play that is you signify where support and resistance is, and you buy on support, you sell on resistance. So for example, let's just assume that we're figuring out in the early stages in here. So this little possible area would have been a question mark buy, because you either would have hit the bottom or barely missed it. Because if a market rallies, say, from here, and then it rallies up, as we can see, even to here, if you're playing the range, then you might put a buy order at this low and then again at this low. Let's assume you did hit this range and you're active, so now you're looking to sell. The upper end of this range is here to here at the time. So whether you got this sale, maybe you did. But let's just assume you did get that sale. That's where you had a sell order. So now you have a buy order back here, and there is no way this one would have been hitting. So the range is changing its form, and like I was stating, it was a good bullish time yesterday to buy. That didn't work. Then normally, if you had some more to sell, you would have sold again, but you didn't. All of this stuff happened, and your buy order hit here. And again, this failed breakout, fast move to the downside, already played. But the range is getting very clear, at least knowing at this point, this being the range area, selling here would be an order. But let's get real here. Are you going to buy here? I wouldn't. My buy range would be in this area. So there we have another situation where market's going up. You have nothing left to sell. It hit this upper end of the range. It's doing its thing. And whenever the trend ends because of a bullish action, it's common that you don't buy because of higher lows. And it's common the play ends because you sell out, the thing goes higher, and it's over. But obviously, if you were to be considering, well, again, you were, say, selling in here. You had a buy order back in here. And then it missed, we'll say. That's part of the game. And I'm just rambling on with different things going on different parts of my trade. 18.5 minutes, but so be it. Alrighty, then. To finish off this video, I'm looking at this pattern. I'm going to re-update the chart, although I don't expect much of a new update. Just because the pattern looks like it's rolling over, it doesn't mean it will. It doesn't mean it'll even fall much more than maybe down to this previous low. Because if it doesn't, well, then it's going to be entangling itself with this 18 average. Probably would start to flatten out. And, well, it does that oftentimes in bull markets, that is. And another way of saying it's very difficult to try to sell short on a bull market. Therefore, thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.